Hello everyone, this is Dion Soul. I hope everyone is doing well. And as you see before you, you're looking at Train Sim World 2's main page. And the reason why you're looking at Train Sim World 2 is I've decided to expand my horizons here, I guess you could say. So this is pretty much a channel announcement. I am moving away from strictly just aviation content with a little stuff sprinkled in into just everything is sprinkled in. I'm going to do planes, trains, and automobiles content. I basically have typecast myself as a content creator into a one trick pony of aviation content. And there is more to me than just aviation content. I love my aviation content, obviously, but I also like trains and I also like automobiles. Back in the early 1980s, me and my dad, when I was, in my teen years and, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, we would go to car shows from time to time that were available to us in our part of Texas where we lived back in the day. And then in the also at that same time, also there was train fancy I had, and we would go to the local rail yards in Texas, which at the time was Burlington Northern, was in my part of Texas was the dominant carrier, I guess you would say, or a railroad operator, I guess you could say. Whatever, whatever in there. And back in the 80s and in the 90s, when we moved here to California, then of course we saw a lot of Union Pacific and Southern Pacific, and so railroads were always in my blood as well. Not really in my blood. Airplanes are in my blood, but railroads I've always had a soft spot for, along with cars. And going to model railroader, go to a few model railroading places. Like there's a place in San Diego at Balboa Park where the Model Railroading Club down there has a model railroading train set, if you want to call it that, down there, a layout down there. And we had our own layout back in the day, back in the early or mid 80s, early to mid 80s. Me and my dad took a 4 by 12 foot section of our shop of the business, and that didn't have anything, and then we just actually put a train layout in there. So when on our off time we would tootle around, making tooling around with a train layout. And then back in the 90s, I we only had one car at my house, and then I actually built a train layout in the other half of the garage that was probably about a 5 by 10 or so foot train layout that I started and never did finish it. And then we got another car, then I had to get rid of it, blah, blah, blah. But trains has always been, I've always had a fascination for trains, planes, trains, and automobiles. And so that's why I'm changing up the content here on the channel, is to be more diversified in that. Now, I will also sport various gaming content as well, such as Planet Crafters and real time strategy type gaming, and you name it, Space Sims, you name it. I'm just going to basically flip on the switch, and we're just going to do more content than just strictly aviation. It's time. The channel has been. I've noticed a lack of engagement. Let me just say it that way. I get a couple of YouTube new subscribers every now and then, and I greatly appreciate every one of you. I want to stress that. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for all the people who have subbed to my channel, whether it be here on YouTube or over on Odyssey um, or on Rumble. I definitely appreciate every one of you guys. But I did have a ulterior motive, let's say, with my channel when I first started my channel. When I started getting hardcore into producing content for my channel, and that was I was to be very, gratefully blunt and honest with you, I was in it for the money. I was in it for the money in the context of I thought I could go in and create flight simulation content, do videos, do reviews, do all those sort of things, and with aviation because I do love it. I do love aviation, but then turn around and then hopefully that the I would get enough subscribers where I would start getting that sweet YouTube ad revenue, and then I would be able to hop that into a business where I can actually um, start doing uh, aviation content for real by having the YouTube ad revenue pay for my flight lessons and then actually learn how to fly and then domino in that to actually doing real adventures by actually just going out in the real world and going to interest points, various interest points out in the real world to produce content that way. But unfortunately, that ship I think has sailed and it just never happened because I never got the donations. I never got to monetization at that level where I can actually kind of do that and that become my new job, so to speak. Take cameras and go places and do things and show the world to people. Yes, I know a lot of people already do that that have money that do it, and I get that. But I guess it just wasn't in the cards for me to do that. So now, because that looks like that kind of dream is not going to happen, I decided to switch gears, and that's what this channel announcement is I'm just gonna do whatever I want, and I'm whatever I want is still planes, trains, and automobiles. That's what I'm going to do, along with gaming content as well. And I'm just going to saturate my channel with various things. But you're not going to see cat videos. You're not going to see various things other than that are centric to a situation that needed to be on the channel for some reason. Uh, that kind of thing. As an example, kind of like the situation where you had my dad's my homage to my father who passed away in 2017. That you see the videos of my montage of my father's life when he passed away. After he passed away, because I needed that. I needed a way to be able to have my family have some place to go to be able to see the montage. And to know that, hey, my dad passed away. So my dad had a lot of influence on me, and trains, planes, and automobiles was centric towards that. So because of, like I said, all the stuff I've up to this point, that's why this channel is changing up a little bit going forward. It's just going to be whatever. I mean, one day I'll be uploading a video of me doing a playthrough of X insert game here, whether it be Planet Crafters or StarCraft or Diablo 3. If me and my wife are playing, I might just turn on the camera just for fun and her not knowing it, and then I'll just stream and then I'll do a voiceover after the fact or something. Who knows? I'll just to have some fun there. That kind of thing. Because we wouldn't want to have the audio going when we were both sitting there talking live, because first off, she doesn't want to do it, and two, you'd be hearing how much of us yelling at each other, going back and forth. Why didn't you go into that room? That kind of thing. So anyway, so that's what's going on with the channel, and so that's what's going forward here. And so without further ado, let's go on with the meat and potatoes of this particular video, which is Train Sim World 2. Train Sim World 2, I picked it up for $9.99 over on Steam when YouTube when Steam had a SimFest, I believe is what it was called, Sim as in simulation, a SimFest sale going on. And what that $9.99 gets you, well, let me start off by saying right off the bat, if you are a rail fan of any kind and you would like to dip your toes into rail simulation, this is as good a game or a sim as any to get into. I've been happy with it. I can't complain. I don't think my purchase was wasted at the $9.99. Currently, it's at $39.99, and at $39.99. I don't know, because of the fact that I was able to get it at $9, if it is justified. Because I don't know. I don't know. I don't. Let me. So this is what I picked up when it was at $9.99, and now it's at $39.99. I would wait for a Steam sale. To be frankly blunt and honest with you, just wait for a Steam sale and pick it up then for $9. I got the USA edition because I live here in the United States. I can identify with things here in the United States and in the Western Hemisphere of this great big blue marble we call Earth, spaceship Earth, and so I so I picked up the U.S. edition. I mean, yes, you could get the UK edition or the German edition, but the U.S. edition is what I got just because of the obvious thing. We are on the Windows platform, but this does work fine and works practically pretty well on the Linux operating system. If you want to use the Linux operating system, it's available to you, and it does work just fine via Proton. So that's a plus there. If you I'm finding a lot of games or a lot of Sims games, whatever, all work on Linux now using via Proton, which is really really cool. Some people don't like the Dovetail Studios business model, how they put in real limited content and then they rely on DLCs to flush out the rest of the sim to make it a viable sim. I understand that fully, but I'm kind of like, if you get a deal like I said, $9.99, who cares? If you want the latest content when it first comes out, yeah, you're going to be burned. Yeah, no doubt about it. You're going to be burned. It's not worth it at full price. It is, in my opinion, it is worth it at discount rates and at sales, but at full price, no. And so I would highly recommend waiting. Like here's the horseshoe curve thing that's out right now. And yes, you could pick it up, but I think it's $29. Yeah, it's $29 right now. Is it worth the $29? I don't. I From the videos I've seen of it and watching people, it's nice. You know, will it go on sale? We'll just have to wait and see. I mean, I got enough content right now that I did pay full price for that I'm just going to hold off. I'm open to it paying full price, but I don't know. I probably should have. I should have not paid what I paid for what I got. And I should have waited for a sale because I don't know if Dovetail Studios does do, um, add-on price reductions. As a general rule, I don't know the business practice for them to know, but anyway, so what I did get again for the $9.99 was the sand patch grade, along with the German speed train thing and the route associated with that. I'm just going to call it DB because I cannot pronounce that. Shiznell, whatever, I don't know. So I'm not German. Well, I am German heritage, but I am not German in the context of speaking German. I'm American here. I'm in America. I'm American. And then over here in the Union or the UK stuff, the Baker Lou line, yeah, there's that one available. But again, I don't live there. I don't connect with it. So it's like, yeah, I got it for the $9. Whatever. Not a big deal. I'm not the underground. I'm not really tripping on it. The Peninsula Corridor, it's okay. If you like hauling passengers, if you want to be a glorified bus driver, if you want to be a bus driver, that's fine. Me personally, I'm not a bus driver. I'm a truck driver. I'm a cargo hauler. I like my cargo. Cue the truck driving music. Um, that's my jam. I'm not a bus driver, so that's why most of my aviation content is usually, yes, I am in a bus driver vehicle, i.e., in an airliner from time to time, but I usually flying in the context of hauling cargo and not passengers. But I do. I will dip my toes into passengers every now and then. So I'm open to it, but I'm not. That's not my primary focus. Let me say it that way. And it does have a Union Pacific, which would be cargo hauling part of the Peninsula Corridor rail or route. So, which is cool. So that is good. During the time of the sales event going on, I did pick up the Clinchfield Railroad, which basically showcases the F7s and the SD40s. My attraction for this add-on pack was the F7, At the time I bought the purchase, which will lead me into kind of a gripe, I guess you could say, of Train Sim World 2, is that the F7, I am able to pilot the F7, but it does not cross-platform or cross-pollinate. I think cross-pollinate is probably the proper word here. Um, the all these expansions or all these add-ons are specific to their specific areas. So I cannot take this F7 and put it over here at the sand patch. I can't take the F7, put it over to Crane Creek or into Sherman Hill, which is disappointing to learn. I know I was disappointed in that. Here in the aviation flight simulation world, if you buy an airplane, you fly it anywhere in the world. The region does not dictate what you can do. But here in the train simulation world, we don't have the ability to have a map of the United States, and then you have all the railroads in the United States all mapped out, and you just get into a an F7, and I want to go to Salt Lake City, Utah, and take a legacy train from San Diego, California, and then go all the way up to Salt Lake City, as an example, via a train, or San Diego to Los Angeles run, or Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona to Tucson, or something like that. We don't have that kind of ability to do it. That leads me into one thing I wish because I know Dovetail Studios is not going to do this. So, I already know that. But it would be nice for a third party uh, that has knowledge in programming, and I'd be willing to pay for it, the ability to either to take all the assets that you own, that you paid for as the end user, i.e., all these add-on packs that you buy, and then have the ability to be able to basically on the fly create a scenario. Look at all the add-on packs you have, take all the scenarios that you have and all their associated assets, and then actually create a scenario where in effect you get that illusion that you are traveling from San Diego, California, all the way to Los Angeles, to the Los Angeles train yard. Use OpenStreetMap and all the associated data associated with OpenStreetMap, like what X-Plane does, or like what Laminar Research does with X-Plane 11, X-Plane 10, and so on. Be able to actually create a plausible world where you can actually take your trains that you own, that you have purchased, and then actually run them on lines uh, that would, that would seed in and be able to create a seed that you would be able to use, and to be able to take that numerical seed, numerical value, like you do with Valheim, as that game does, and then be able to take that world seed and then put it on the internet, share it with your friends, do whatever with that seed. So then that way you would have a endless supply of of railroading content that you can expose yourself to. That would be epic. Not necessarily have AI trains, but I'm sure those could be programmed in with an algorithm. But I don't see any. I think we have the technology today that Train Sim World, using that as your base, that you could do that with. Is that you just have a program that you would run, and then you would use all these components in place to be able to formulate your overall world for you as the end user. You drop into your ST70 that you got from uh, uh, the Cheyenne to or the Sherman Hill add-on pack, and then be able to take that Union Pacific, and then just go from Sherman Hill all the way down to Los Angeles if you had to, if you were doing a run down there, or taking a legacy train into the F7 and go into the mountains somewhere that has trains and have heritage railroad excursions and experiences. I think the technology is there to do that. It's just getting the team together to be able to build the algorithm, to be able to pull all the assets, to have them all put in place via an OpenStreetMap type data gathering uh, gathering stream to be able to make it to be able to make your what I'm talking about. Just an option, just an idea. I don't think anybody's ever going to do it, but because I know it's going to take money and resources and time, or money and resources. Well, money is a resource. It's just going to take resources to do that, I should say. But if somebody would do that and offer it for $59 or $29 or whatever as a as a portal, or even go simpler than that. Just take what I got here that you see before you, and then have an add-on pack that once you get the end of the line on your add-ons that you have, you would have the ability to be able to jump to basically create a new instance, let's say, and to be able to take and jump between one area that you have like sand patch and then end up going to Clinchfield Railroad and then finish your run at the Clinchfield Railroad content, that kind of thing. That would be epic. Maybe somebody's already tried this and failed. Maybe the technology is not there. I don't know. I think it is. I just think that it just needs to take somebody who knows how to program to make that kind of thing happen, to create some kind of portal to be able just to hop between Sand Patch to Crane Creek, or Cane Creek to Sherman Hill, or Sherman Hill down to the Peninsula Corridor, or something of that kind of nature, and then be able to actually create scenarios that, hey, I need to take a load from the East Coast to the West Coast, and you would just have a portal that would just kind of warp speed you from one area, and you just have to assume, you'd have to take that suspension of disbelief that you were able to go between the East Coast to the West Coast, and just kind of didn't have that, or make it so par on your route, from the West Coast, you had to go through, um, Crane Creek subdivision to be able to get to Sand Patch or whatever. You have all those combinations available to you, and use an algorithm to do it. Computers are powerful enough to be able to do that sort of thing now, I would imagine. It's just taking the program know-how to be able to make that happen. So that would be my thing that I would love to see. Because I know Dovetail Studios has no interest in doing that. Because if they did, they would probably already have it already, even back on their older iterations of the product, they probably would have done it. But it's not there. So anyway, so that's pretty much my thoughts on that. And so, is this game, or is this sim? I chose this sim. Let me say it this way: I chose this sim because of the fact that you can get in, and you have a lot of there is a lot of randomness you can do, but you have to rely on third party. Uh, um, third party products to be able to have that randomness. In other words, just the community involved to be able to create that. And right now, as I'm trying to stall here, as I'm trying to load into the other screen here, so right over here, here's one community video, or one community web page that I found that has Train Sim World 2 content. And so this is one that I recommend right now until I find one either better, or you guys leave comments in the description down below if there is any that is better. And just go ahead and let me know, and I'll go check it out. Because what I've done with this one right here is, what I like about it is you got a sound section, you got utility section, and you got patches section, and you got scenarios, you got legacy skins, meaning whether it be rolling stock um, or liveries for locomotives, legacy locomotives or whatever. So you got you know various things that you can do. Now, this one right here looks like it's mostly, we got some North America action going on here. Let's take a look at that. See right here, we got some locomotives right here, and you've got various ones that you can load up here. It looks like this one right here was loaded up yesterday with these guys, probably pertaining to the Horseshoe expansion pack, which I don't have, so which is kind of cool. But then you have other ones that are associated with different add-on packs that you can get for that you can put into the sim for your enjoyment for the eye candy and whatnot. And that's just the locomotives, and I think the rolling stock here. There's a handful of rolling stock to add more rolling stock that randomly adds to your content into your sim, so you have a more variety like you would see in the real world, um, that kind of thing. So that would be pretty cool. So, anyways, this website actually has a lot of content also that you can download. You can subscribe to them, log into them, or you just download. I personally have just downloaded it right now. I just went in here and just said, okay, fine, I'll just go over here and like, okay, this is cool, and I just download it. Now, a lot of this stuff you have to have a third party um, installer. See, it says you have to install a Train Sim World 2 livery manager. Now, the livery manager, matter of fact, let me see what I can do here because now I'm bringing it up. Now I got to talk about it. So you would go over here to this train simulator and you would download. I don't have a link to the livery manager. I'm just going to have it. You guys actually just going to have to go do a little searching on your own if you really are interested in it. But I will touch on it. That let me go ahead and because I did through trial and error find it, and what I will do is I will double click on it and I will bring it up, and that's the folder that I found it in. So if when you load it up, you just double click on the it's going to tell you, hey, you sure you want to open up this program, blah blah blah, and then this is the program itself. It's just a standard, probably a C++, and then what you would do is you would actually download. You would tell it where all your stuff you downloaded, all these files of all these rolling stock or skins that you downloaded, and then you tell it where the game directory is, and then you would just basically just add and remove at will what you want. Now, unfortunately, this thing only gives you 30 spaces to be able to add um, rolling stock or skins to the sim. This particular program does, but if there was a way to do it, I would do it, but I don't know how. But I would love to be able to take all the ones that I found that I downloaded and just put them all in there because you do have a maximum of 300 that you can actually into the sim, but for some reason this program limits you just to 30. So, which is kind of a disappointment, but it is what it is. But anyway, that's the little program. It's called TSW2 Livery Manager by Raging Lightning. So I bet you could put that little text right there in your Google search bar, and it'd probably take you to it. Go through the steps on how to install it and set it up. We won't do it on this video today, but there is things out there like in the X-Plane world where you can download various things to enhance your simulation enjoyment of it. So, but anyway, let's get back in here into the sim itself. And then we're going to go ahead and go over here to, out of all of the mods that I've downloaded and all the add-ons that I paid for and installed, still the sand patch seems to be the most user-generated content for. Swig of water for the working man. And also the most add-ons that enhance your overall simulation experience. So the sand patch is I would say is the flagship out of all of them, at least from my perspective here in the United States, and from a cargo hauling perspective. I think this is the showcase. So we'll go ahead and click on this showcase right here. And what we'll do is we'll do just a couple of missions just to get your feet wet into it. And we'll take this video up to an hour if I haven't already done that already. We're at 29 minutes now, so we'll go ahead and just bang out some missions just to give you the overall feel of the sim and what you guys think about it and whatnot. And then I'll conclude nearly at an hour's in. So what we're going to do is we've already started out green, and basically what I did is I created my own fresh meat character. So fresh meat character. These are all the downloaded and the packs that I have downloaded via the resources that I just told you about in this video. So these are all the trains or all the locomotives that are available to us. Route tasks, as you can see, I haven't gotten any medals. I haven't gotten any achievements or anything like that. This guy is a fresh guy. I just restarted to fresh. I did have one up to like 30 something, and I just trashed it because I don't really care. Didn't make any difference. So anyway, so without further ado, let's go ahead. Quick little synopsis of this mechanism of how this is right here is the same across all of your add-ons that you get. You get the tools button that allows you to design your own livery, and here's all the available locomotives and rolling stock that's available for you to be able to do your own paints. I dipped my toes into it a little bit, but you don't have the ability to be able to actually import your own pictures, like my logo, like my Solus Wings logo that I do on my airplanes. I cannot go. Here's a sand. When you see an SPG, that means sand patch upgrade. That means that when I do a logo with sand patch upgrade, it's going to be centric to the sand patch SD40-2 locomotive. It won't cross pollinate between all the rest of the other ones. I'd have to do this all over again to the other locomotives that actually have the SD40-2, which again is a bummer. I wish it wouldn't do that, but it is what it is. I can't control that. So that's the livery designer that's built into the sim. Also the scenario planner. The scenario planner, you can actually have here's your total, excuse the expression, play world for you to work with, which is from here to here, from left to right, and north to south. And then these are the pre-built ideas, to Rockwood Depot. So you would click on it, and you would actually, these are the trains driving two AC 4400 trains from Rockwell Mile to Cumberland with hoppers, and they would actually it basically create its auto one for you, and you can add that scenario. A quick manifest going from point A to point B by hauling. It would automatically generate cargo for you to haul between point A and point B, which is what it says, from classification yard to one end of the map to the other end of the map, basically kind of thing, that kind of thing. So that's what these scenarios are available to you. Some people have been very good at being able to going outside that, and that's what you will see here in a second here. So we'll get out of this. Let's go ahead and do a quick little couple of out of the box. Let's go ahead and what you would start fresh. Because of what I have purchased. I did purchase a CSX C40 RW, and so I've got 16 missions related to just that locomotive. I think that motor was like $10 or something like that, or $12. So I paid for the locomotive via the Steam store. And then also the patchwork is the journey expansion that gives you a little bit more content that I actually paid for right here. So that's what those are. Let me go back. But the actual, when you buy the sim itself, for the $9 that I paid for, these are the 31 that you get. So we're going to start out fresh monkey here, fresh and clean, and we'll start out with what it's going to say here, and we'll go through this GP30. It's going to be very limited. It's not going to let us press all the buttons.
This is the latest generation general purpose Type 38 locomotive built by the Electromotive Division of General Motors. Known as a GP38-2, it packs an efficient 16-cylinder diesel-electric motor able to generate 2,000 horsepower.
Let's go, let's go, let's go. Rock and roll, dude. Let him say his spiel, then I can talk. Finish.
First off, walk over to the locomotive as indicated.
Okay. Now, we can have some fun. Now, what's going on here is now we are, one thing I like about this sim is that we are free flowing. We can walk around to a degree, and we can just take a look at things and go across here. We do have some walls that, and I'm kind of yelling into them because this thing is loud. So let me turn down, let me hit the escape key here, and let me go ahead and turn myself down because I'm actually yelling into the microphone because I have the sim audio turned up, and if I turn it down, then you guys are going to hear, are going to lose the sim audio. Just kind of the inherent nature of OBS. But anyway, it allows you to have some limited freeform stuff, but you will run into some block walls. I don't think I can go to the bathroom here, and I don't think I really would because it looks like all the stuff is on the floor here. I couldn't click on it anyway. But at any rate, so yeah, so this is the Cumberland Yard, but you can move around. The GP38-2 was actually, GP38s were introduced back in the 80s, I believe the early 80s. I started seeing them over in Burlington Northern Lines when I lived in Texas back in the early 1980s. I thought they were really, really cool. The two versions that I saw was this one right here, which was the GP38-2, then the GP38 that I saw back at that timeline in the early 1980s there was one that actually had a third of this cut out of the fuel tank, so you would have a big gap in the so you just visualize that a quarter of this, maybe an eighth of this tank was cut off, and so you would actually have less tank. And this one right here is a GP38-2, which is more modern, and has a longer tank because it's more of a road switcher. So it would go with the big boys going across the country here in the United States. It has the ability to go with it, but more or less or not, it would stay more localized. But let's go ahead and get on inside this bad boy. Do what it says.
Open the cab door and proceed inside.
You can break the script, because what we're doing right now is basically it's a scripted mission. So you can break the script, so you got to be careful.
To take control, you'll want the engineer's seat. Head over and sit down.
So we'll go ahead and sit down.
Safety always comes first on the railroad. So to start with, we need to let those around us know this locomotive is operational. Begin by turning the forward headlights control to bright.
Boom.
There are 3 key controls to operating this locomotive: the reverser, brakes, and throttle. The reverser determines direction of travel. Put this into forward.
Okay. And I will in a second, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this opportunity to get rid of me, because I see that I am in the way of some of the content here. So let me get rid of me. Bye. Okay. Now we got rid of me. Now we can continue on. So you don't have to hear me. You don't have to see me yawning anymore. We'll go ahead and put it to forward.
To the left is the auto brake, which applies brakes along the entire length of the train. Let's move this to release. We're about to move, so make 2 blasts of the horn to alert anyone around. Remember, safety first. Now add some power, but not too much. Too much power too soon, can damage both the locomotive and the cars.
You're right.
Always start off nice and slowly.
You got it, buddy.
Increase the throttle lever
Oh, he won't shut up, will he? Okay, you got it? Are you shutting up now? You can hear the sound of the locomotive. Oh, let me do it again. Oh, is it going to let me do it again? No, it's not. Anyway, it sounded like crap. It sounded all crackly. The reason why is because I have a mod that I'm going to have to get rid of that modifies the sound file for the train. So that's not good. So it's unfortunate. And unfortunately, I cannot, because this is scripted scenario, I can't get rid of the dinging of the bell. So we'll go ahead and just get going here. We're moving. Great job. That's what he's going to say. And you got your speed indicator right here in the HUD. You got a little HUD that you can turn off this HUD by hitting the Control 5 key. The Control 5 key will turn the HUD on and off. But I like to have the HUD on because when I'm outside doing my fanboy eye candy look of the train, I need to be able to still know what's going on inside the cab of the locomotive. So I always leave it on. All right.
You're moving.
Moving.
Great work. To maintain a constant speed, move the throttle
to neutral. I did that kind of fast, didn't I?
That concludes the basic engineer training on this locomotive. So let's bring it to a stop.
There we go.
That was great work. You've just completed your first lesson operating the GP38-2.
Yay!
There's always more that can be discovered, though. As engineers, we'll never stop honing our skills.
Damn straight. Damn Skippy. And we got ourselves some loyalty points, or action points, I think that's what I call it. They call them action points. And we got ourselves a golden badge thingy. Okay, now we're going to do a little bit something different here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to main menu. And of course they're trying to give me the cell. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to prep this next little thing I want to do, and then we'll conclude the video. So let me do that real quick. So I'm going to pause the video, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, we are back, and we're in a mod that allows us to be able to do whatever we want. And because of that, I was not ready. I wanted to be, well, okay, fine. What's committed is committed, so we'll go for it. Here's a couple of GP38-2, so we'll go ahead and get into those things. Go ahead and get on inside here. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and sit down, and we're going to go ahead and just go out for a ride. Now, what I do is we're going to be in this one right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that all the rails are set. And what you do is you hit on the numeric side of your keyboard, hit not the numerical, not the numeric pad, but the regular numerics up on top above your letters. You're going to want to make sure that your route is set so you can get out of here in one piece. Okay. So now we're getting ourselves all set up here as I am trying to get out of the yard. Setting up to get out of the yard. I think I just might run into some stuff. Well, I run into some more. Oh, can go to some more engines, I guess. Wasn't my intention, but okay. So let us, now that I got that done, now what we're going to do is we are going to plug in our reverser. The reason why we have the reversers not available is because it's a safety feature that allows you to, so people won't move move the locomotive while it's not being unattended. So we can go ahead and plug that in right there. We'll go ahead and put our brights on because we're going to be going that direction. And we'll go ahead and put the rears on dim, so that way it lets everybody know that, hey, this thing is live. And then we can go ahead and turn on the control / fuel pump is already on. The fuel generator is off. That's what that gives it the go. And then the engine run is on. And then we got our gauge lights. We can go turn our gauge light. Now we got some gauge light action going on here. So our gauge light and our speed indicator is going to be right here with this quantum right here. Ditch lights on. The ditch lights on is just so we can see. Another reason, to make everybody know. Now we need to make this over. We need to adjust the air pressure, the air. Move the air where it needs to go to be able to get the train to move and the brakes to work correctly. So we're going to push this to lead and dead, which means this right here is the lead locomotive because we are attached to another GP38. And we'll go ahead and put this cutoff valve from cut out to freight or to passenger. Either way, it doesn't really matter. If you're a passenger, that just means you're going to be taking a different type of load. And so the load parameters, we'll leave it at freight for right now. The automatic brake diverts airflow to the entire run of the train from tip from stem to stern, as my dad would used to say. And in this case right here, we've only got 2 locomotives, so it's only going to go from between one and the other. And we'll go ahead and put it to release. So now the airflow can flow throughout everything. And then the independent brakes. The independent brakes are really centric to the locomotive itself, whether it be this locomotive or the locomotive that's attached to me. So all attached locomotives, the commands of the independent brake are, and what their purpose is so you can have independent brakes when it's just locomotives and not any other rail cars attached to the locomotives. You'd be controlling the braking system with the independent brakes, from my understanding. Make a comments down below if I am incorrect in that assessment. Let me know. Not a big deal. Hey, I'm always willing to learn. But that's what I have figured out so far. The alerter button, which is this little guy right here, is because of this thing right here. If you open up this panel right here where you have all these circuit breakers, you would see that you have the warning devices are currently off. Out of the box, they turn off the warning devices because they know people are going to get annoyed with the dead man switch activated. So you can also call this a dead man switch. So you turn that on right now. Now what's going to happen is every few minutes or 2 minutes or whatever, if you do not do anything, adjust the controls or whatever, it's going to sit there and alert you and say, hey, are you paying attention to the locomotive? Because if you're not, we're going to shut this locomotive down. It goes into a fail-safe, and I think it resets every 2 minutes. I think is how it works. I'm not for sure on that, but I think it's every 2 minutes. I read it somewhere, but I forgot what it was. So we'll leave that on temporarily. Everything else is on. All the electrical circuit breakers are all turned on, so we're good to go there. Another thing that we can do to let everybody know that we are live is we'll go ahead and turn on the front number lights. And if we leave the back number lights off, that lets everybody know that's outside observing the locomotive that the rear lights are not on, but the front ones are. That lets everybody know that the path of direction, the direction of where the train is going, with the front lights on, indicating that, hey, you are going it's going that direction. And so we'll go outside here real quick. Oh, I hit the wrong button there. Hit the that's the frame rates, by the way. That wasn't what I was looking for. I was looking for this one right here. And then we can go ahead and spin this around. And now you can see, and I forgot what I was coming out here to do. Oh, the lights. That's what it was. And you can see that the lights are now on here. We see 2810 is now illuminated. But if I come over here, they are not. The 2810 backlights are not on. Another way to do it is you actually would have the backlights completely off as well, like that. And then you come back outside here, and you can move around. I'm using the arrow keys to move around, by the way. Now the backlights are off, so I have no lights on here on the back. That lets everybody know the direction of travel for the locomotive is going to be, all the lights are on here, so that say, hey, these guys are going this direction. That's how I signify that the locomotive, what direction of travel the locomotive is going. Whether that is standard across the world, I don't know, but that's how I see it. So let's go ahead and go a little forward here. And this will be my version of moving a locomotive. Go ahead and apply a little power. Well, first off, we'll go ahead and put a little forward in here, get a little bit of juice. And you know why we're not moving right now? I didn't do that on purpose, but I'm gonna pretend that I did that on purpose. Is because I did not turn the generator field. The generator field has got to go on. All locomotives have these three primary buttons: engine run, field. My understanding is anyway, or at least the ones I've experienced, all have these three primary ones in some form or fashion: generator field and control pump. So now we can activate it, and there we go. Now we're on. We be jamming, man. And we don't need a lot of power. We're going to spend a lot of time coasting. When you hit one is inside the cab. 2 on your numerical keyboard up next to your numbers is the front locomotive. The rear locomotive gets so you can toggle between the two by spamming the 2 key. 3 key, you spam the same thing, just that you just get different perspectives, and you use your arrow keys to move around, that kind of thing. The 4 key does nothing. The 5 key does nothing. The 6 key does nothing. 7 key does nothing. 8 key does your cinematic one, where it's a static camera that you can move around, but you don't move around. I guess you could a little bit for the train to move around. Now I stalled out because if you look on the mini display, now it's going to go backwards, and actually it's going to even out over time. If I do nothing, now it's going the other direction. But if I just sit here and let it do nothing, it's going to equalize with the grade. You see now the grade is at 0, 0. The grade is the indicator on the bottom right hand of the screen in the HUD, where you see the representation of a train, and you see it's at 0, 0. We were at 2.5. Now if I go ahead and apply 1 notch of power, that's going to counteract that, and you can see my speed is going down, and you saw a little bit of rail slip right there, which you saw the little red indicators. So the physics of the locomotives are pretty cool, where they will the weight will start, it'll go backwards, which is pretty neat. And now you see the miles per hour is going to start to slow down. Touching a little bit on the speed, you see the little red on the dial of the miles per hour. We'll go ahead and let's apply some brake. Go ahead and put some brake in here. I'm using the bracket keys on the keyboard. Bracket to right does full application. Bracket left will take the independent brakes off, and then back all the way to full release, and then you'll start to see the things start to roll again. So we'll go ahead and go back. But anyway, back to the speed scenario. The speedometer right there, you see you got a little red dot right there. That little red dot is what I call the corporate speed. The corporate speed of the locomotive is where they want to be at. Want you to be at to get the maximum amount of action points so you can get your little badges of honor. That's what that is. That little corporate speed, that red mark indicator, does not coincide with what the posted speed is. Let me see if I can find here on the while we're here. Let me see if I can find a posted speed real quick. And this is also another way to check out your surroundings by hitting the 3 key and just kind of just moving around. Naturally, because of where I'm at, I don't see any posted speed indicators. Of course. Well, anyway, there is on the track, on the main line, and here from time to time here in the yard, you would see little posted indicators of speed. Let me just go right down this line real quick. We have one right here. Because usually you'd have a posted speed next to here. So let me go down here like this. Like we're actually on a train and we're going down here. But you would see posted indicators. I'll tell you what your speed is. Aha, here we go. Coming up to it right now. All I had to do is just come over here. Okay, posted speed is 50 miles an hour, the bottom one. The top one, it says 55. I'll tell you right now, I don't know what the 55 means. I'm assuming it's speed as well, but 55 going the other direction, if I was going the other way, I don't know. But it says 55 miles an hour, but I know the bottom one is your speed if you're going this version of travel. And when we come back over here, because we are on the rail yard, the speed I think is generally known is 15 miles an hour. And you'll have certain areas that are down to 10 miles an hour. You don't get penalized if you go 5 miles an hour. Let's get away from the engine so it's not as noisy. If you go 5 miles an hour above the posted speed, you don't get penalized where they're going to knock you down. But I think they don't penalize you, but you just don't get any bonus. It'll turn yellow is what'll happen. Is you'll see your speed. So let me crawl back into the train, in the locomotive. We'll go ahead and release the thing here, and I'll show you what's going on here. We're going forward, so let's go ahead and get going. Now you see on the speedometer that it's going up and it's currently white. All is right as rain. And then when you get above the speed, which because we're going uphill at the moment, so it's going to go back down. Let me be a bad guy here, and we'll go above speed. We'll go above corporate speed. Okay. Now it turned yellow. See, now it says over speed at 15 points because you're going over the speed limit. And it does that periodically just to punish you for your speed limits. Which is a bummer, because the scenarios that are in the sim, a lot of the scenarios, I think the speeds are too slow. They're very under. Now here in the rail yard, I am not really going to trip on the rail yard speeds because you're supposed to be slow anyway in the rail yard. On the main line, you can be faster, but here in the rail yard, yeah, you want to be slow because you got stuff in the way. You got a lot of obstacles that you have to contend with. So I get that. But there is scenarios where when you go here in the sim where you're out in open environment, especially in the Crane Creek area. That expansion or that. Oh, see now I haven't. See, it's flashing at me saying, "Hey, you're not doing anything." So you go over here and you click on the alert thing, and then it goes away. That's what you saw right there. Is what happens when you have this breaker turned on right here. The warning device. If I turn that back off, now we're not going to have to worry about that anymore. And you can see the little graphic of the warning indicator goes away. But if you want more realism, because safety is a big priority on trains, which is kind of obvious, because when you're carrying an S load of product from point A to point B, you don't really want a derailment. That's a bad thing. But as far as back to speed is concerned, yeah, you stay underneath the speed. You'll get points of patting you on the back saying, hey, you stayed within our speed limit. But like I said, like on the Crane Creek one, there's a whole section of track that you're supposed to be at 25 miles an hour, and you're that way for like 30 miles of only going of 25 miles an hour. It's insane. And so I just basically said, you know what, screw you. You know, I'm going to do 55, 60 miles an hour, and if you don't like it, kiss off. Because that's just stupid, you know. We're in a sim for crying out loud, you know. We're not in the real world. If the real world, then there may be justified reasons for it. But in the sim, the speed, I would have, and the posted speed is actually at 50 miles an hour, I believe it is. So I would have been more acceptance of it if it was at 50 miles an hour and going 50 miles an hour. But at 25, when it's posted at 50, give me a frickin' break. So I could see why the Crane Creek one had a lot. If you look at the reviews, there's two things on the Crane Creek expansion that people did not like, and that is probably that right there, the behavior and how the thing is set up, and the fact there's not a lot of content for you to do there. You don't have a lot of scenarios to do at the Crane Creek. So they're relying on user-generated content to be able to flesh that one out. And also, I think there was patches or there was bugs and other things that people didn't like. So, and I said we're going to do this for an hour, and here we are coming up on an hour and 2 minutes. So I guess I need to go ahead and apply the brakes here. Okay, let's say that if we were done for the day, this gives me an opportunity to do it that way. So let's put this to full service, to hand off. And we'll go ahead and put this to lead to trail 26. There is an explanation for that. I don't know what it is. I'm sure somebody in the comments down below could probably tell me. And then we'll move this over to cutoff. And we'll go ahead and put this over to neutral and lock. And this is over. We'll go ahead and put this to off because then we are no longer moving. And we'll go ahead and turn off all our little buttons here, gauges, step lights, stitch lights. Everything is off, off, off. Our terrible sounding horn, that's got to be, I'm going to have to download another mod for the sounding horn, because that sucks big time. So, my bad. And we'll get rid of the bell. Click on the bell. All right. And now we'll go ahead and start turning everything off. We'll go ahead and turn off our, we already got that off. And we'll go ahead and put this to, I think we're supposed to turn off. Let's go ahead and get up. We're done right here inside the, oops, wrong button. We're done inside here, so we'll go ahead and get up. And we'll go ahead and set our brake here on the outside. Our hand brake job, we're gonna do a hand job. And I gotta grab the right one. This is a split handbrake. I gotta click on the right one. There we go. Okay, so that's fully applied, and you see now it's turned red. You got a little red indicator right there. So now this locomotive is not going to move at all. And now, to shut this thing down, we got two options. We can go ahead and go over here and shut all the breakers down, or we just kill it. We'll just hit the button. We move this to isolation. Turn all our other switches off up here. And we'll come down here. We'll pull the power. We'll put the fuse to storage. And we'll just turn all the breakers off right here. We got that one off. Come on, hit the right breakers. Off. 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 Just the ones that are available for us to shut off, so we can get this down into a cold and dark state. Make sure nothing else is on. I don't know the sequence of events of what you're supposed to do. Maybe somebody can do a video or link me to a video that says, hey, well, this is how this guy does it, or this is how an engineer says to do it, would be probably more realistic. Release the parking brake. You can do that, but I don't know what it does. Emergency brake valve. See, it says open, so I'll just leave that alone. As far as inside the cab here is concerned, here on the GP38-2, you do have access to hand wipers, so you can go like that. And or you can use this button right here, and then you can actually have it come on. Now this shouldn't have came on unless there is air in the line. So when that's done, then you can just move it back to where it's, or you can open the door and you get out of your way. And all this, the same scenario applies to everywhere else. You got windshield wiper hand wipers right here. You got them over here, over here, over here, over here. You know, that kind of thing. And then as far as if I wanted to restart this locomotive, which we're not going to do, what I would do is you look down right here and you see the window. Here's the window right here, and you can see that there is a gauge in there somewhere. And what you would do is that in this area, in this cell, you would click on these latches and that would open it up. Now if it's at nighttime and we want to restart the engine here, we in fact go back over here on the engine, and then we move this over to isolate. We would put this over, put this back in, put the fuse back on, turn all our breakers back on from a cold and dark state. Come on, come on, come on. Button, button, button. And of course leave the warning devices off. I think everything is now back on. This is back on. We will go, because if it was nighttime, we would go ahead and turn on our engine room lights and platform lights. The reason why I would turn on the platform lights, for one, is to see, and two, to let everybody know that, hey, there's something going on with this locomotive here. All its lights are now on. And then what we do is we come over here, and now we got an engine room light, and we can come over here to the engine start. You can hear it. Okay, now that the priming is done, now we switch over here, and I've had the highest success rate I had is just holding it until it actually just starts. And you'll hear it here in a second. And now the engine is now on. Close the doors, close that up, and there you go. There is no interactions over here. I've already tried to do some interactions over here, and there's nothing over there, so no sense in being over there on that side of the locomotive. And now the locomotive is back up and operating. Now what we're going to do is if this was a single locomotive, we would put in both our lights on right here. We'd have our platform lights and our engine room light. We can go off, and then we move this over to run. and then we're good to go there, and then we are all set and ready to go. And so now we've got a fully armed and operational locomotive ready for service all over again. And that's pretty much the shutdown and then the restarting. The only other thing I can touch on this is that what the purpose is for the headlight control. Headlight control, I'm very limited on my knowledge on the headlight control, but I do know if you put it over, you put the lead locomotive to here, the controlling locomotive, and then at the other locomotives in line, you would put the switch over to here. So then when you would set the lights in the locomotive at the lead locomotive, they would automatically switch between all the locomotives, or at least the one in line at the very back. Especially if you had a train, if you had a locomotive that is basically being a pusher that was pushing, in between all the cars, that kind of thing. So that's what the control of the locomotive is right there. So anyway, so that is the GP38-2. It's one of my favorites. All the sand, I believe, goes in here. Now, I don't know if the sand depletes over time, but I think you open up this bay right here, and then you can actually put sand and water or sand in here, whatever the case may be. And the sand goes in here, and then the sand actually comes out. I don't know if we're going to be able to see it, but we'll see if we can. But the sand pipes are, I don't think you're going to see it. But right along in here, yeah, I can't see it. I can't see it. You guys probably can't see it either. But here's the wheel truck right here, and so right along in here is where the sand would come down in a tube, and so we use sand to get traction. So anyway, so that'll conclude this video on the GP38-2 / what I'm doing with the channel and all the content and whatnot. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me go ahead and bring up my ugly mug so you'd see that for a sign off. Because unfortunately, if I was inside in the cockpit or in the train, then of course I just hit the tab key to bring that up. But when I'm out here in this scenario, I can't do that. I have to do it like this. So anyway, so there's a lot of things you can do. You can walk around if you really wanted to. You could take the GP38-2 on different scenarios and just kind of drive the GP38-2 down in, and you can pick up hard hats and pick up snow markers, place some reap back, and you get action points for that, and then putting on signs that say no trespassing. There's various things you can do on foot to add more content to the sim, which is pretty cool. So you can see I walked my first mile now, so I just got some XP, and if I really wanted to go crazy, I would just continue on foot, walk the total length of the rail yard from one end to the other, and just doing various things, getting action points. But I sure as hell I'm not going to do that, because that would be boring as hell for me, even for me. So anyway, I appreciate you guys watching. Definitely like, subscribe, and all the stuff that all us content creators say. And tell me what you think. Hopefully, tell me some things some added things that you can share. So, really appreciate it. You guys take care. I'll catch you guys next time on another exciting train simulation or whatever the case may be. I got to come up with a name, huh? Now I got train simulation adventures. I don't know. I got to come up with some kind of name now. But anyway, you guys take care. See ya. Bye. Laters.